66 and 18. It said, if I regard or look upon iniquity, evil sins, and injustice in my heart, the Lord will not hear. See, the one thing that God said, that he ain't going to be a part of your sin. He refused to even be a part of his own self. When Jesus hung on the cross and he looked up to heaven, he said, Father, why have thou forsaken me? But see, but you just understand, when Jesus went in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he went in there, the sins of the whole world came upon him, and that's when he went and fell to the ground. He prayed 3 times. He came back to the disciples 3 times and asked them, can you not watch with me for 1 hour? Because Jesus had taken upon our sins. He was sinless. But he taken upon our sins, even in his worst situation of his life, hanging on the cross, in pain, been whooped, been beat, been spit upon, pulled his hair. They said that he was beat so bad, he didn't look like a man anymore. But yet instead, when he looked up to heaven, he asked for his Father for some help. His Father could not help him because he could not take a part of sin, because God is holy. He's pure. He's clean. He's sanctified. He's set apart. And so by him being set apart, he cannot come in and take a part of your sin. When your sin walk in, God walks out. He's standing there waiting on you where you left him at. He never left you, but he is not going to take a part of your sin. It said when Isaiah saw God, he began to lament. That means he began to mourn, to express grief. Because see, one thing, that when you are in a situation and you don't have nowhere else to go, you've been to the left, you've been to the right, you look it up, you look down, you look to the side, and you still ain't got nowhere to go. What else can you do but cry out? In Isaiah 6:5, it says, so I said, woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of people of unclean lips, for my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. And see, you must understand one thing about this now. There's a story behind this. See, Isaiah was not actually called into prophecy before he began to prophesy. He began to prophesy because of his cousin, King Uzziah. Uzziah was stricken with leprosy. His son took over the kingdom. Uzziah was locked in a room inside the kingdom until he died. But once he died, Isaiah no longer had somebody to be his foundation. Now he had to go and seek after that what he said that he was a part of. And a lot of us have professed to be Christian. A lot of us have professed to be prophets. A lot of us have professed to be apostles. A lot of us have professed to be preachers. A lot of us have professed to be a lot of things. But until something happened to force our hand to really seek God, we do not even turn to God. And so it said now, Isaiah said now, he began to describe himself as a man of unclean lips. So he was saying that I've been speaking without permission. And so when you begin to speak before God without permission, you have unclean lips. And he said, now, I dwell in the midst of a people with unclean lips. Because he lived with people that was in a worldly society. And they did not have a true concept of who God was. And so they lived according to what they felt was right. They did what they thought was right, but that wasn't right. It said, for my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. See, it wasn't until Isaiah saw it. He said he went into the temple. He said the temple was full with his train. And he said he saw him high and lifted up. Then Isaiah began to believe. And he said, he made his confession that God, I have been doing stuff without your permission. He said, my lips are unclean, so I need to be purified. And so God allowed a cherubim to come down and reach into a fiery furnace, picked up a coal with some tongs, and pressed it against Isaiah's lips. The fire represents the purification of his lips, that he was being prepared, that God may be able to use him to speak the truth. Not for what men want to hear, not be a man pleaser, but be a God pleaser. It says here, when Isaiah the prophet came in the presence of God, he did not see the glory, but he see himself unclean and dirty. See, because when we come in the presence of God, God becomes like a mirror to us. He doesn't, he don't reflect what your neighbor is doing. He don't reflect what your spouse is doing. He reflects what you are doing. He allow you not to see the outward man, but he allow you to see the inward man. And it said when Peter had his first encounter with Jesus on the fishing boat, he was tired and worn down from the night of fishing. When Jesus gave him instruction, he did not refute it or disprove it or contest it or rebuke it of Jesus, but obedience pays off when you follow instruction. After Peter saw what obedience do, he fell down and confessed not on himself, but all that was with him.